Hey everyone, just a quick reminder that this is actually part 2 of the video, and if you'd like to watch part 1, and you should, it's linked in the video description. Enjoy! So, as you're probably noticing, this is a different outfit and this is actually a different day because I lost my voice last time when I was filming and the video was already getting to be too long, so I decided to split it in 2 parts, and this is going to be part 2. I'm going to try to answer absolutely every single question that is remaining, and I'm going to try to do it a little bit shorter this time because I realized upon editing the first part that I really went overboard with some of my answers, and again, I'm going to put timestamps in the video description, so if at any point it gets to be too much, you can skip. We continue with question number 26, which is by Siarnas. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. And the question is, have you read any Indonesian author books? Thank you so much. You know what? I don't think I have. There is this one Indonesian author that I've been wanting to read for a while now. W.S. Rendra, I think. I've heard of him because he was nominated for a Nobel Prize for Literature a few times, and I know he's written some poetry as well, so I really wanted to read his stuff, but frankly, it's almost impossible to find them where I'm from. But I would be very curious to read something by an Indonesian author, so if you have any suggestions, I would be very grateful. And that actually applies to everyone, no matter where you're from. If you have an author from your country that you think deserve better notoriety, and if they're obviously translated in English preferably, that would be great. Please feel free to share them in the comments below. In fact, I greatly encourage you to do so because I would love to give them a try. Question number 27 is by Joyce. Have you ever read a book that changed your mind about something you felt strongly about? What was it and how did it change your perspective? Oof, that's a fantastic question. I'm gonna need to think about it for a second. That's definitely been the case. I think pretty much every single book that I've read has changed my mind about something, even marginally. But you know what? I think I'm gonna go with Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and I know it's very popular to talk about Stoicism nowadays, and people like to throw it in your face just to show you they're better than you and very intellectual. So I'm gonna try to keep it short, but at a very difficult time in my life when I felt worse than useless due to reasons way out of my control, I kind of stumbled upon this book and I read it, and it changed my whole view about life in general and on difficulties specifically. Before reading it, I had considered emotional pain to be an unfair punishment and therefore a justification for throwing a tantrum. And while I still don't like it, I have come to believe through reading this book that the fairness of it is completely irrelevant, and I have come to look at emotional pain as an opportunity for improving oneself as a person rather than an invitation for despair. And mind you, it's still difficult. I still need to remind this to myself all the time, which is why the book actually lives on my desk full time. Question number 28 is by another one of my most favorite people, and that is Teresa from Sweet Tea Reads. How did you learn English, and do you speak any other languages besides Bulgarian? I'm assuming and English. And she also adds, coming from someone who can hardly speak my native language correctly, I'm super impressed at how fluent of an English speaker you are. Shoot, anyone who can speak more than one language is impressive. Well, first of all, Teresa, you are very, very kind, and thank you for the nice words. But I think before you start deprecating yourself, you need to consider the full circumstances here. You as an American already speak the most popular language in the world, so there is no real necessity for you to learn another language, which is the biggest incentive out there for people to learn languages. So there is nothing weird or shameful in the fact that you don't speak other languages. I think given the circumstances is one of the most normal things. Now for the rest, since I already answered the how I learned the English language, let's go to the second part, and that is what other languages I speak. And you are in fact correct. Аз говоря български и то доста добре, тъй като това е майчиният ми език. Du plus, je parle assez bien français. En fait, je ne parlais pas un mot de la langue avant de m'installer là-bas, et j'ai dû l'apprendre rapidement, car les Français, même si je l'aime bien, n'aiment pas parler anglais dans leur propre pays. Кроме того, я прекрасно говорю по-русски, так как меня заставили изучать этого языка в течение 8 лет. Ho choisi studiare hannu e un po' di italiano. Question number 29 comes from Mars Starlit Library. I love this name. What other hobbies do you like to do, or what would you like to try? You know what? I don't have that many hobbies that don't involve reading in some way. I used to play a lot of video games, though that's no longer the case. Recently, I started playing board games with a group of friends that I acquired from other friends. Turns out, I'm rather competitive. I like cooking and baking very much. I can knit and crochet, though I have no patience for either of those. I like gardening. I play a few musical instruments very badly. I like cycling and hiking. While my father was still alive, we did a lot of fishing. That's pretty much it. And I guess I would like to try everything else. Okay, I had to move because we lost electricity and now I have to rely on natural light. Question number 30 comes from Gabby Likes to Read, and it goes, how are you enjoying the Wheel of Time? Do you regret starting it? Asking for a friend. Oh my god. Okay, this is funny because Gabby and I are actually doing a buddy read of the Wheel of Time, and here is a perfect example for you of how bad I am with correspondence. I actually already have a Discord server, and currently on it, it's just me and Gabby, and we're supposed to discuss the Wheel of Time there. And I hadn't responded to her for about 3 weeks since she sent me a message. I'm just terrible with remembering to respond. I'm sorry, Gabby, I responded already, and I'm gonna make an effort to reply more often than twice a month. But to answer your friend's question, I am enjoying the Wheel of Time quite a lot. Actually, I'm enjoying it more than I did the first time, though I still have some criticisms, and we'll talk about those in my monthly wrap-up video because I have a few things to say, and I think I already responded on Discord with my criticisms there. The next 6 questions are from another wonderful person, and that is Cornelia. Question number 31. What places would you recommend to visit in Bulgaria, both in the capital and in the city where you currently live? I think it looks beautiful from the excerpts from your vlogs. Thank you, Cornelia. It is definitely beautiful and way more beautiful than my videos actually can show. Now, there are a lot of wonderful places to visit here, definitely too many for me to mention all here, so I'm gonna link a few articles in the video description and you can get a better idea of where to go. All of them are gonna be approved by me, so it will be like my own personal opinion. Question number 32. Your 3 favorite motives in books. 3 favorite motives. I'm not sure if you mean in terms of tropes or in terms of themes because this is Google translated, so it might be either. In terms of tropes, I guess I very much like The Quest and the Dead Parents one. Oh, and I like a post-apocalyptic setting where the world has gone through some crazy stuff and there's a lot of hidden history and where people dig ancient monuments, especially if they're gigantic ones, and when there's legends about gods but these gods are now dead. And oh, you know what? Let's go back to the question. I forgot who asked it. Your favorite author asked you what his next book should be. I think Joe Abercrombie should write a book about the Master Maker Canadius and Juvens and all of those. There are so many legends and they're repeated so many times, and if we know something from history, especially in this world, that is that the stories are never true, and I would like to know what really happened. I am so curious, especially about the House of the Maker and how all of those things work. It's just, I really want to read that, okay? So I digressed a little bit, but these are my favorite tropes. Question number 33. What countries have you visited in your life? Not that many because I'm a little afraid of flying, but I have visited quite a bit of countries in Europe. I have visited all of our neighboring countries: Romania, Serbia, Macedonia, Greece, Turkey. I have visited Hungary, Germany, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, UK, Spain, Italy, Switzerland. Am I missing something? Austria. So yeah, I think that's all of them. Question number 34. Are there any books that you would recommend to people who want to get to know Bulgarian literature? I would definitely recommend East of the West by Miroslav Penkov, which is a collection of short stories that show the Balkan mentality in general and are both funny and kind of tragic. I really enjoy reading them. I would also recommend the works of our most popular writer, Ivan Vazov, and more specifically Under the Yoke, which is actually the first Bulgarian fiction. It is a required read here, and I know for a fact that it's been translated in English, and it's a very interesting book. It's rather heavy, I would say. Other than that, there are many that I would recommend, but I'm not entirely sure whether they're translated in English, and being that I have no electricity, I have no internet right now to check, but I'm gonna leave a few titles in the video description again with the tag of the question so you can easily find it there. Question number 35. Did you have any proven methods / tricks for studying at school? Well, to be honest with you, Cornelia, it's been quite a few years since I graduated, so I have forgotten a lot, but I've always been a naturally curious person, so it's never been difficult for me to study. That said, I will advise you whenever you're obligated to study about a subject that you find tedious or boring, to go ahead and search the internet for fun facts about it. They don't have to be related to your study necessarily, but they will unlock your natural curiosity and will make whatever you're learning about inherently more interesting. Now, if the subject is interesting to you, but just the study load is tremendous, I will advise you to start taking visual notes. That's always been one of my tools, even nowadays, not when I'm studying, but when I'm reading, and even when I'm studying, because I still study. Visual notes are the most important thing. And I was thinking of making a video about it, and even another person had asked me in the comments to do it, and I will, I promise. But those aren't the linear notes you take. You don't try to distill everything into 3 sentences, but rather a non-linear schematic representation with pictures and a little bit of text and some arrows. Maybe if I find an article, I'm sure I'm not the one that came up with that. I've heard about it somewhere else. I'm also going to link it in the video description. This way of note-taking has absolutely changed my life, and it's so much easier to recall things when you have them in this sort of representation. And also, I know it's difficult right now to be excited about studying because you're rather young, but as somebody who's been through half of their life already, at least, I can tell you that having the opportunity and the infrastructure to just focus on learning is the biggest luxury I can imagine, and you should cherish that. So yeah, good luck with studying, and I promise to make the video about the note-taking very soon. And question number 36. How do you remember your school days, high school, college, etc.? Cornelia, that was almost 20 years ago. I studied in what you would call a vocational high school, even though back in the day that was pretty much the standard, and I graduated with a profile of an electrician. There were 20 boys in our class and 7 girls, and I don't remember much of my high school days because I was working and studying at the same time, so I never had any free time. I don't remember sleeping pretty much ever because I was either working or studying or doing homework. But there were good times. I had very quirky classmates and very nice teachers. And we have 2 more questions as comments under the video by Fenona, who went later on and added them. Question number 37. What kind of books did you enjoy as a kid? Well, Fenona, whatever books were available around me. I remember really loving Astrid Lindgren's books, especially Ronja, the Robber's Daughter, fantastic, and Emil from Lönneberga. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. Fantastic books, really adventurous, really cozy, love them. I also loved Three Jolly Fellows by Anna Raud. There were several books, very tiny, about 3 dudes that live in a van and travel around and get into adventures. It was just very, very cute and very cozy. Ooh, The Adventures of Little Onion by Gianni Rodari. Oh, fantastic story, highly recommend. I kind of want to reread it right now. So yeah, these are the ones that come to mind right away. Thank you for that question, it made me strangely happy. And question number 38. Do you have any favorite booktubers you'd like to recommend? Oh, thank you for that question. I do. I have so many. Definitely Gabby from Gabby Likes to Read. She reads such interesting books. And then there's Mac from Cat and Mac, who does some of the most beautiful book journaling I've ever seen. Sam from Sam's Bookish Faves. John from Talking Story. Johan from Library of a Viking. Mike from Mike's Book Reviews. And my friend Kim, who's been a commenter on my channel for a very long time. And she recently started her own booktube channel, A Book Forest, I think it's called. And I think you should go give her a look. Now that we're done with the questions that were left as comments under the video, let's go ahead and answer the ones that were asked anonymously. The first of which is, what's your name? Well, hi, my name is Sylvia, and I always try to remember to mention it in the beginning of every video, and I always forget, which is why starting today it's going to be listed in my channel's description so everybody can find it there. Question number 40. What color are your eyes? They seem very pretty. Well, thank you very much, that's very kind, but I don't know if it's really a single color. It's a combination of a few things. There's a little bit of green, a little bit of brown, a little bit of yellow. Matter of fact, the Bulgarian ID cards list eye color as well, and this is what it says on mine, so I guess even the government couldn't tell. How long did it take to make each of your TBR games? What is the design process like? Well, the first game took all of a month, I think, from start to finish, and that is because I had a very clear idea of what I wanted it to be before I started. I knew that I wanted to do 5 roles because this is how many books I can read reliably each month, so I decided to do the 5 roles as a main rule, and then I just figured the map is gonna go in circles, so to speak, and I already had a vague idea of what I wanted the different tiles to be, so that was very easy. It took a very little time. The second game, actually, I started making in September last year, and I think by the end of February I had it almost fully done. I only needed to clear a few things and ask advice from some friends just to make sure that I'm on the right track with the things that I'm doing. But the design process is basically all over the place. I always start with one main idea that I want to achieve, and for both of those was I wanted it to have hexagon somewhere in the game because I like that shape for some reason. And for the designs themselves, I don't know, I get an inspiration and I work off of it. I never start making a map before I have the full inspiration before I see it in my head how I want it to be. I'm not very good at trying something and discarding it and starting something else, which is why I'd probably be a terrible designer. And for the steps themselves, I use Incarnate as a tool for creating the basic map. It's a very nice tool. It's not very expensive either. I'm gonna link it in the video description, though I'm not sponsored by them in any way, shape or form. I just really like using Incarnate. And then once I create the basic outline there and put the main elements like trees and such, I export it and feed it into Canva so that I can create borders and tiles and all of that. I find Canva to be a little more flexible when it comes to those things. I also use Canvas fonts, though Incarnate has very nice archaic looking fonts. And then once I'm done with those, I feed it into Krita so that I can warp the images for the tiles. And once that is done, as I already explained, I cut the map and then I print it and then I glue it to the board. Now, when it comes to the other elements, when it comes to how I selected the tiles, I just knew for the second game specifically that I wanted to focus on the prompt cards because this is my favorite thing, and I think they create much better opportunity for diversity of prompts that you can get. And I also wanted them to be themed after the Lord of the Rings because I wanted the game to be closer to the actual story, and I wanted to incorporate the fun facts about the different elements because, well, I like fun facts. Matter of fact, I had a way different idea for the end game of the second version of the game, but I think I'm going to leave it for a potential later one because it requires a little more external resources, shall we call it. I was thinking of maybe making a video of how I made it for the second version of the game because I think it's a little more interesting, and if there's interest in that, I'll do it. Let me know in the comments, I guess. Question number 42. You mentioned before that you have a boyfriend. When will we see him? Well, I'm afraid you won't be seeing him at all because we actually split up in the beginning of this year. Question number 43. How much money you make from YouTube? That's a great question, and the answer is not much, but let's give it a look. So when we go to analytics and we filter for the lifetime of the channel, I have made a grand total of $367.24, veritably making it rain. Question number 44. Are you a religious person and do you believe in a God/creator, or are you more of an atheist or agnostic? Well, I was baptized and raised as an Orthodox Christian, but to be honest with you, neither myself nor anybody else from my family are really that religious. I think my grandmother was the most religious of all of us. She prayed every night. Though now that I think about it, my grandfather passed away when I was a baby, and then for the following 27 years until she passed away herself, she spent every evening praying in front of his picture, and I'm not sure whether she was really praying or just talking to him. So no, I'm not a religious person. I think I'm a little too pragmatic to be able to believe in something without concrete proof. And you might say that there is enough concrete proof and I'm just ignorant, and you might be right. There is plenty I don't know, but I do respect the traditions and the rituals, and if you are yourself a religious person, I respect that because it requires a lot of fortitude and conviction, which are way more worthy of respect than what I do, which I guess in many ways you can call hypocrisy. Question number 45. I don't have a particular question, but can you tell us a fun fact about yourself? Well, I can try, but I'm not sure how fun the facts about me are. Oh God, is there anything? Oh, here's the thing. My arms are too short for my body. You know, the ratio between your height and your wingspan should be around 1, and I think my arm wingspan is about 2.5 centimeters too short, which is about 3/4 of an inch or something. I don't know. Your witchcraft measurements are really difficult for me, people. But yeah, that's the fun fact about me. Question number 46. How old are you? Sorry. Listen, you don't have to apologize. I don't subscribe to the idea that it's rude to ask a woman how old she is. We're all growing older, and we're all gonna grow old if we're lucky. So I am 37 years old and a half. Almost. Question number 47. How do you deal with bad comments? I want to start a channel, but I'm afraid. Well, as I mentioned a bit earlier, I am rather lucky that my channel is still relatively small, so people are mostly nice. I don't get that many bad comments, maybe once a month or something like that. And how I deal with them depends on the comments themselves. Here's one that I really like. You have no taste. This was left under one of my videos where I criticize a bunch of Illumicrate books, and you know what? It might be true. But you know, the thing about having bad taste in books is that it doesn't really hurt me, you know? If I have bad taste and I like certain books and don't like others, well, what does that change for me? I like what I like, I don't like what I don't like. And the person obviously was upset enough with my commentary that they left this comment under the video, and that is their God-given right. And generally, this type of comments I try to take with some good humor and a little bit of humility. As my grandma used to say, pride is nothing to be proud of. So again, this person is not my enemy. They haven't done anything wrong by leaving a comment. The only way this type of comment would upset me is if my honor was hurt by somebody questioning my taste in books. And granted, it's a little bit rude, but frankly, nobody owes me kindness or nice behavior. It's important to remember that we can't control how other people are gonna act, and we shouldn't aim to. What we can control is how we act and how we react. And to me that means to, first of all, make sure that whatever I say here I truly believe and I have thought through, and then to still remain open for changing my mind if somebody brings good arguments for it. And then on the other hand, whenever I receive a rude or unpleasant comment, to try and make sure that I don't take the person as an enemy right away, but to just consider that maybe they just had a bad day or I really upset them by criticizing what they like. I think it's only fair that if I say what I want to say, that others are also allowed to say what they want to say. So I don't know if this long-winded tirade was helpful in any way. Bottom line, if you want to make a YouTube channel, I think you should. This community in general is very, very nice, and the people that are rude are very far between. And honestly, somebody being rude on the internet is not the end of the world. Oh, and if you end up making a YouTube channel, please send it to me. I would love to watch you. And that concludes this endless Q&A video. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I hope I managed to answer your questions. I would like to thank all of you who have spent some of your time watching my videos and who have made the past 2 years so much better. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon in another video. Bye.